evening. This is a regular meeting of the Molalla City Council for October 8th, 2025. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, let's do roll call, starting with Councilor Gilmer.
Councilor Gilmer, present.
Councilor Schenkel, present.
Councilor Childers, present.
Mayor Kaiser, present.
Council President Vermillion, present.
Councilor Bartholomew, present.
Councilor Bissenius, present.
Dan Huff, City Manager, present.
Christy Teets, City Recorder, present.
Code Compliance Specialist Kyle Murphy, present.
Assistant City Manager Matt Cortell, present.
All right, thank you. I'd like to remind all participants, including staff, elected officials, and members of the public, that Robert's Rules of Order will be enforced in this meeting. We welcome your opinions and look forward to your polite participation. Audience members, we request that you silence your cell phones and not conduct side conversations during the meeting. Thank you. Does staff or council have any changes to the agenda tonight? All right. Mr. Huff, do you have some new staff members you would like to introduce?
I'll introduce one, and Mac will do the second one.
Okay.
But I want to introduce Alicia Berry to you. Alicia is our new HR risk coordinator. She started Monday. Had a little problem decorating her office, so I had to help her out a little bit. But there she is.
Perfect.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Nice to meet everyone.
A little history, where you're from?
So I've been in Clackamas County for about 20 years, lived in Canby most recently, and just bought a house in Oregon City. Tried to buy one in Molalla, but didn't work out. Been in HR for about 26 years, so have done a little bit of everything, HR generalist type skill set. Never worked in HR in a municipality before, so this is kind of new, but I'm excited to be here and learn.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to the team. Ms. Corthell.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. So I'd like to introduce our new Associate Planner, Clarissa Davis. Clarissa joined our team as, well, our Associate Planner. Like I said, she comes to us from the City of Redmond and holds a planning degree from the University of Oregon. She brings experience in evacuation, transportation, and land use planning. She's a Portland native and thrilled to return to the rainy weather in her hometown. In her free time, you can find her hiking, riding bikes, or working on craft projects, and we're already seeing a significant impact from Clarissa's presence only a couple of weeks in. So we're very, very excited and grateful to have her. And I'll turn her over to you.
Well, good evening.
Good evening. I met quite a few of you this afternoon, but it's nice to see you all again. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
I'd ask the same question, but Mr. Corthell always has to outdo Mr. Huff, so.
Right, you can comment on that one.
Definitely welcome to the team.
Good move.
Fitting right in.
Wow, trained her well. That's awesome.
Well, welcome. Thank you for being here. Next, we'll do consent agenda consisting of the council meeting minutes from September 24th, 2025. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any questions, comments? All right, Christy, we call the roll.
Certainly. Councilor Gilmer.
Aye.
Councilor Schenkel.
Aye.
Councilor Childress.
Aye.
Council President Vermillion.
Aye.
Councilor Bartholomew.
Aye.
Councilor Bissenius.
Aye.
Mayor Kaiser.
Aye.
Thank you. Vote passes 7-0.
All right, up next is public comment. Citizens are allowed up to 3 minutes to present information relevant to the city, but not listed as an item on the agenda. Prior to speaking, citizens shall complete a comment form and deliver it to the city recorder. The city council does not generally engage in dialogue with those making comment, but may refer the issue to the city manager. Complaints should first be addressed at the department level prior to addressing the city council. And I got a few forms next, Mr. Thomas Truax. Would you come to the microphone, state your name and city you reside in, please?
Just sit here.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Thomas Truax. I live in Molalla. Be 2 years in November. Anyways, I pastor one of the local churches here, Faith Bible Community Church. I've been doing that for the 2 years that I've been here. And I started to work with the homeless population, doing ministry work with them, getting to know them, kind of just talking to them, seeing where they're at. And it's kind of come to my attention that some of the policies we have for the camping park work contrary to our goal of having a clean and functioning town. So what I'd like to do, just to kind of bring it to you guys' attention, is ask that we relook at our ordinances. I've been told that some of those were put in place when our homeless problem was much larger, and seek to do a better job of making policies that are more humane and more effective in keeping our town nice while having compassion on the less fortunate members of our community. And what I mean by that is the current park where they can camp overnight and everything, we have our ordinance where it's dusk till dawn, which is kind of ambiguous in and of itself, but also it's right next to a bar where people are partying until 2 a.m. These people are sleep deprived, and yeah, there's drug problems and things like that. That's, of course, the case. But now they're sleep deprived and they have to get out at dawn. And then to make matters worse, the penalty for not getting out exactly on time is, and usually this is over some time and some leeway and everything, and everybody involved does a great job with this, but they end up being taken or being removed from the ability to be in any parks for 30 days. The problem there, and I get the incentive, we're trying to make it so that way people don't want to do this and that sort of thing, and I get that. The problem, though, is we have to look at reality. People are people, and they're struggling, and these people can't get out of their situations. I know these people personally. They don't have the faculties to have jobs, and hold down jobs. Nobody would keep these people hired. And so it's a problem that we've got as a town, and they need help. And so what happens is if they're taken out of the parks for 30 days, they end up on the sidewalks, which is a much worse problem than having them in parks and that sort of area, or having them be a little late because they couldn't sleep until 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then have to be out by 5. So it's just something I wanted to bring to your guys' attention. I want to say Kyle does a great job of enforcing codes while seeking to be fair in the difficult situation. I've seen him work with them incredibly well with adverse circumstances, so I do want to say that. But I want to be a voice for them, because not many people are, and I've come to love a lot of them. They have issues, they have problems, but I do have ideas to where we could make this more fair, more compassionate, and actually probably work better for our city. So I'd love to talk to anybody who's interested, but I did want to bring it before you guys.
Perfect. Kyle, is this something that you, Mr. Huff, would you give City Hall a call and schedule a time to meet with Mr. Huff? And
I would love that.
That way you can go over your ideas with him.
I have your contact information from your public comment card, so I can assist in getting you in touch with City Manager Huff.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah,
Perfect.
you're welcome.
All right, thank you for your time.
Coming in, sir.
Thank you.
Up next, Lucas Kleizak. And Laura, if you want to join him next to him, that way when one of you is done, the other one can start. Just state your name and city you reside in, please.
I'm Lucas Kleizak of Molalla. I'm here to talk about pregnancy and infant loss awareness month. So this was established when U.S. President Ronald Reagan was proclaimed October 1988 as a month to recognize and support families experiencing the grief of pregnancy and infant loss. His proclamation called for Americans to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities to provide compassion and support to those affected by these tragedies. The purpose is to bring awareness to pregnancy and infant loss, support grieving families, and encourage better education and prevention efforts. This affects parents as they experience depression, anxiety, PTSD, and other health issues. Since 2006, October 15th has been an official, federally recognized day of pregnancy and infant loss remembrance. It's on the books, but no one knows it's there. On this day, there is also an annual observance known as the Global Wave of Light that honors and remembers babies who have died. Participants around the world light candles and create a wave of light that symbolizes love, support, and remembrance for those precious lives. Last year, the city was gracious to acknowledge this event. However, this year, when my wife emailed the city manager, she was told, "Thank you for the email. And although your Wave of Light event is an important message and one that many of us should support on a more personal level, the City of Molalla has a policy of not outwardly supporting social programs." And you are correct. Last year we did post your information inadvertently. I apologize for the possible confusion. So this communication is confusing because the City of Molalla supports so many other causes, not only on its Facebook page, but throughout the city. Kindly this year, the Molalla Police Department has agreed to support this event. So Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day and the Global Wave of Light are not social programs. They do not provide assistance in the way social programs such as welfare or low-income housing would. Their aim is to raise awareness, remember precious lives lost, and let grieving parents know they are seen. Millions of parents around the world, in America, and many in our own hometown need us behind them. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir. Laura, did you want to speak also? Okay, you're up.
This is my daughter, Claire. Laura Kleisik, Molalla. 1 in 8 women are diagnosed with breast cancer. 1 in 4 women, or twice as many, will suffer miscarriage, stillbirth, or infant loss. I am the 1 in 4. I'm guessing you've either experienced your own loss or know someone who has. Mothers, fathers, siblings, and grandparents lose the life they've dreamed of. Our baby's first steps, first day of kindergarten, graduation, and wedding day. Our life is shattered, and we're met with awkward silences, told to move on and try again. When the flowers died and the sympathy cards stopped coming, no one wanted to talk about my baby. We talk about cancer, addiction, mental health, abuse, disabilities, and even losing a pet, but we can't talk about these devastating losses. Where is our community when we come home with empty arms? When we celebrate their birthday with a cake and candles and a wish that will never come true? They don't know what to say, so they say nothing, or try to fix it when all we need is to be heard. They can't sit in this unimaginable grief because it is uncomfortable. Taking my daughter Claire off life support was horrific. But the secondary losses of losing friends, relationships, and even the person I used to be were a close second. Our community rallies during Share the Love, helps our neighbors after ice storms, and literally saved the town during the fires. On its Facebook page, Molalla has recognized September 11th, Mother's and Father's Day, Law Enforcement Appreciation, World Mental Health Day, Wildfire Awareness Month, and has gone pink for breast cancer. These are all important and worthy of our attention, but it's time for us to see what is hard to see and talk about what is hard to talk about. Over time, we learn to live without our child. The grief gets lighter and we build a life that is different but also beautiful. Since 2012, Claire has taught me to be a better person. It's a happy life and someone is missing. Years later, bereaved parents still need support that is hard to find. I'm asking for a small thing that costs nothing but a few minutes but is rich in reward. Molalla can lead by example and recognize October 15th as the National Day of Remembrance that it is. This is not a social program or a political issue. It's not going to make us more sad. If you say my baby's name, you might make me cry, but if you don't, you'll break my heart. A post a year is the least we can do to raise awareness. I implore council to acknowledge Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day and the wave of light that goes around the globe as we light candles remembering our babies on this special night. I'll be lighting a candle for my daughter Claire, my brother Sean, who died of SIDS, and all the other babies gone too soon. I hope you'll join me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christy, is there any other public comment submissions for this evening?
Thank you, Mayor. There is a submission at each of your seats this evening from Heather Kowalski that will be included in tonight's meeting minutes.
Perfect, thank you. Up next will be ordinances and resolutions. Chapter 10.72.020, storage of vehicles or personal property on public property. Ms. Corthell, can I have your staff report, please?
Actually, Mr. Murphy's going to be leading this discussion. I'm going to join him towards the end of this report because I fielded some public comment on this. But
all right, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. This year's annual goal setting, one of the goals was revamping the RV parking ordinance, and we've been working on that. Several council sessions have been held. The current code language, as we're working it, is in front of you. Updates were added based on our most recent work session. So if there's any general comments on that, I wanted to document those, take those, and then I had a few more specific pointed questions regarding this language. The first one, I'll just jump right in, would be specific to the exception that will allow 72 hours if it's in front of your own residence, which we spoke about, 72 hours per instance. So my question is, as it stands now, there's no limit to how many times you can use that 72-hour rule. So what is stopping a new trailer from showing up at the same property every 72 hours? So my recommendation for that would be to put a per month, per week sort of regulation on that 72-hour rule. So it's not just a new trailer every 72 hours. I don't know if we should speak about that first or jump into the second question.
You want? We can hit it line by line.
Okay.
Council, what are your thoughts? Council DeSantis?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's important that we look at the duration, and what constitutes a reset. I mean, is that driving around the block? Is that leaving the city? Is that going to get propane? Is that gas? Is there a time between which that 72 hours resets? I think that's an important question that also needs to be addressed.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
And there is provision later in this for having more time. I see that we've got a room down here where the city manager can give a permit for a period longer than 72 hours.
That will be for private property specifically.
Oh, okay. So this is this is on public property.
Correct.
Okay. Excuse me. I agree that that we need to institute a time frame there of some sort of bumper as to how often they can do this.
So I'll just throw out maybe a number, two times per month, 2 72-hour periods per month per residence. You're allowed to use this. It's 2 camping trips per month. That's 24 camping trips per year. I think that's plenty. If there's a need for more or less.
Go ahead.
Kyle, thanks for bringing that up, because that was the one thought I had was during certain seasons of the year, there are going to be several people looking to go camping, hunting, whatever the season might be. So I think looking at it more like a bi-weekly type of thing, a couple times a month, whatever. We need to kind of 24 times a year. Covers quite a bit.
So, I mean, maybe even 3 times a month. That's almost every weekend. If you were going to go camping every single weekend, you could bring it on Friday. It's got to be gone by Sunday.
And just throwing an idea, I had an idea in my head and I just throwing it out there. What about a 72-hour reset?
Yeah, 72 hours on, then there needs to be no trailer for 72 hours.
Right. That gives them, most people when they go camping, they're going to be gone roughly 72 hours, give or take, 3 days. And then that way they have that 2 to 3 days when they get home to be able to unpack and get their trailers put away. Is that something that is workable at your level? Because I really don't want to make any policy that's not workable.
Yeah, I think 72 hours is a 72-hour reset is definitely workable because you can go and document that it's gone, and then if you receive another complaint the very next day, well, we have that documentation, and now it's only been 24 hours. So I think that's workable at the enforcement level.
Council, what are your thoughts?
Again, I was going to bring up, as long as it's workable, if you see that enforcement on that type of level is workable, then yeah, go for it.
Okay, so 72-hour reset is the...
Is that a good consensus from everybody? Or...
So I want to clarify what we're talking about here because I stood corrected a minute ago, but I'm still a little nervous. We're talking about inhabitants and use of recreational vehicles on private property. We're talking about pulling my RV, parking it in my driveway and using
we're
it.
talking about pulling it up on the street in front of your house.
To load and unload.
To load and unload.
The specific code is storage of vehicles or personal property on public property, designated time limits.
Okay, I'm on the wrong part of
And I do know, there are people who do go every weekend. I don't know, is Friday to Monday 72 hours really? Or Friday to Sunday?
It would be Friday to Monday. If it was Friday at 5, then Monday at 5 would be 72 hours.
And, most people, if they're going to go on the weekend, they're going to leave Friday sometime, but they'll be back Sunday evening or something. Is that... I can see this being a problem.
24, 48-hour reset would work.
48 would be better.
48 would be better.
48.
And most of these people, with the exception of maybe our hunters right now that are doing it, but, a lot of this is during the summertime.
Right.
Right.
He has a question.
Oh, yes, sir.
I did notice in here, it does state one recreational vehicle, motorhome, camper, trailer, and boat. There are going to be instances where people with campers are towing a boat, and they both go back to storage. So I do think that if they are connected vehicles, that there may need to be an exception or note for that because that is a common occurrence. Or it could be a trailer with dirt bikes, four-wheelers, whatever said trailer may hold.
Okay. So clarifying that maybe if there's a additional vehicle attached, that it would be considered one.
Right.
Yeah, I think so.
It needs to be kept as one.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have a good consensus on that?
Good over here.
I'm good.
All right. What do you got next, Kyle?
Sorry, I don't know if I was, and then maybe you got it, but it sounded like a 48-hour reset. How many times per month was it?
Just 48
Just
hours.
48 hours.
Okay, so
So if they want to go every weekend,
yeah, but unlimited. I just want to make sure,
Right.
I'm just trying to make sure I understand, that's all. Okay.
Yeah. Which I think will mitigate any bad actors, as I've heard you, because it would be an inconvenience to remove for 48 hours.
Now, the trailer rule, that isn't just on recreational trailers, correct? It could be any form of tow behind. So if it's somebody a landscaping business that constantly has a trailer parked on the street, that would be something that would be enforceable.
Yeah, it does include trailers or utility trailers.
Okay.
Standard trailers, yeah.
Perfect. What do you have next, sir?
It's a similar question, But relating to the one Counselor Childress mentioned a second ago, inhabitants and use of recreational vehicles on private property. So as it stands now, we have the language for the permit. We have no language that says how many times per year a residence can get that permit. So could you just apply for it every 30 days? How many times per year are you allowed to obtain that permit per residence?
And this is talking about a person living in their trailer.
Yes, on private.
While it's on, not just being parked.
On private property, correct.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, scratch my nose.
Okay.
Thought we were going to associate it to, like, if a person was building the house, it was
Right.
associated to the permit.
That's coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's coming
Yeah,
up.
that's what I was referring to a while ago. I was in the wrong section of this, but there are exceptions where they can apply for longer times and everything.
This one would be 72 hours without a permit. That's just like, if you're parked on your property using your RV for 72 hours, you don't need a permit, but if you're going to exceed that, then you need to go to the permit. But I think the question is, if I'm 72 hours, then do I drive around the block, repark it, and I get 72 more, or how is that? I think that's kind of the crux of this one. You know, how many times can I do that 72 hours before I need a permit, or how many times can I just do it?
My personal thought, 72 hours in a named month. More than that, then the permit process needs to go into effect, whether it be someone's staying with the family because of medical illness, whatever. I think that would fall under the permit process.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Councilor Vicenius?
Is there any difference between being in front of a closed gate, behind a closed gate? I mean, if somebody's utilizing their backyard for a family camp out for 5 days, I mean, probably not overly realistic in the city just based on lot size, but I just want to throw it out there. Is there any sort of differentiation between front of house, behind a closed gate?
No, and for this particular thing, if they want to do it for 5 days, they just get the permit. It's really easy. If you're going to exceed 72 consecutive hours, you just got to get the 30-day permit. There's a permit for anyone for up to 30 days, as long as you're not, connecting to the city sewer or something like that.
Anybody else?
So one time in a named month, you can utilize that 72 hours or less without a permit.
Correct.
Okay. And then if you're going to obtain the permit, how many times can you obtain that permit?
That's a hard one, because I think that falls under that goes to situational.
And it's outside the medical necessity or building permit. Well, I will talk a little bit more. We've got a separate provision for that. This is really just that 30-day kind of, hey, I want to use my RV I want to have my, my grandpa come visit me, and he's in a park, in my driveway for 30 days. Mm-hmm. How many times a year, a month, well, a month would be once, but how many times a year or whatever time interval you guys want to give, am I eligible to get that permit, such that it's not just a repeat, or maybe you guys, it's your prerogative, but that's kind of the idea, is that, hey, I get a 30-day permit, and I go back, I get another 30-day permit, and eventually I'm just living there, right? So that's kind of the question.
Councilor Childers?
That was my question, was what is our goal here with this permit control? We don't want people pulling an RV into their driveway and having someone living in it long term is our goal, I believe. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm seeing a consensus on that. I wanted to confirm that, because it could easily come up that way, constantly renewing a permit, and suddenly we just have people living in the driveway, which...
And it gets really hard, because growing up, there were these books. It was it Name Your Own Story? And you'd read a chapter, and you'd have 3 choices, and it'd tell you which page to go to. The situations are going to be different each time, and so I know we agreed that Mr. Huff's going to be writing the permits, but I think there may come a time that he may have to come to us and say, this is the situation with this, because we could go through and name off 50 different scenarios tonight, and the first time someone comes to a permit, it's not going to be one of them. And so it may have to come down to a hard choice that the council has to make with him bringing an application to us when it comes to that. Sir?
I think it's important that there also should be an appeal process. Maybe the city staff deems that it's not a worthy application for XYZ reason. Resident wants to appeal. I think that they should absolutely have a right to appeal to the council for, recourse or, an opinion.
Okay.
I'm also thinking, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I was calling on.
I'm also thinking maybe, 30 days reset, with the exception of, a permit that needed some special exception with whatever. But, maybe to get away from somebody applying over and over and over again and ending up living in the driveway, and hopefully they're not dumping in the drain.
That dumping, when the permit process happens, there's going to be clear rules that the trailer has to get dumped either by a service or moved. It can't just be, it's going to sit there for 30 days. Trailers can't hold that much.
Well, they can if they use indoor facilities.
Yeah.
So technically, it's not working as a holding tank. But
what do you think? Anybody? 30 on, 30 off?
Yeah.
30 on, 30 off, and appeals come to the council.
So I'm curious what they would appeal. This is kind of a non-discretionary standard. They get the permit as long as they're not connecting to the sewer. There's really nothing to appeal.
Well,
what if they needed 45 days?
25 days?
45.
Okay, so you guys want to be able to extend their time.
So say they want to do 45. Mr. Huff writes the permit. He's the permit writer, and he says, nah, 30 days. Well, I don't agree. I think what Councilor Basenius is saying, that if they don't agree with that, then it could be appealed at the council level.
I think you're right.
Speaking out of turn?
Yeah, I guess I was also thinking that there may be a reason that the city wouldn't approve it. I guess if there's no proof, you don't have to prove anything, you don't have to request under any conditions, then I guess it's a little bit of a moot point, but I still do agree with that as a new point that, yeah, if you need 45 days, that's obviously going to be outside of what we can offer. There should be an ability to appeal, I guess, if there's a reason for it.
So I would heavily caution against appealing things that are contrary to your code. If you want 45 days, we should put 45 days in here, because, in other words, you guys are creating a law and then saying, but we can break it when we want, which is not a good place to be, right? So if 45 days is the idea, or if it's, up to 90 days, subject to discretion, and there could be an appeal where say, hey, we're only giving you 30. You could have up to 90, but you don't pass muster. Okay, cool, there's an appeal. You see what I'm saying? Okay. We want to make sure that when what they're appealing to you, that you guys have a legal basis in the law you're adopting to say, yeah, no, we can give up to 90 per our adopted rule, right? So that in that case, I think we just want to say up to,
And we have another. I guess I was kind of thinking for long-term relative or something like that, but we do have a third thing, don't we, for building a house or medical issue or something? Yeah.
Yes, and those were the two we were going to this is just kind of that run-of-the-mill, hey, I'm having my buddy or I'm having my grandpa come over, whoever, they're going to park there and hang out with me. Not for, hey, I've got a medical necessity deal where I need a caregiver, and I don't have room in my house, or, hey, my house burnt down or something and I got to rebuild it, or,
okay,
it's not there yet and I need to build it, however you want to look at that. So, but either way, if you guys want to be able to extend, my recommendation to you would be that you either not put a time limit, that you make it purely discretionary, so that in this case, there's a time period that they could say, hey, I'd like to come for this long. And if staff said for some weird reason, hey, 80 days feels long to us, what's going on here? But even then it kind of puts staff in a bad position to be making that call too. So you may want to just say, what's our top end?
Right. And
say, up to this long, or
I think leaving it open is the same as letting people appeal. I honestly, knowing all this now, I would say like 30 on, 30 off.
Because it's not like I'm not trying to represent that. I'm just trying to aid the conversation, make sure we have things that we can comply with.
30 on, 30 off. What do you think, Councilor Childress?
Can you tell I'm still thinking?
I saw you grinding. I was just trying to see what you were thinking.
It's a good question. It's a really good question, and I think that perhaps we would institute up to 60 days or something to be a little more flexible. I'm trying to think of situations too where people would want someone living in their motorhome on their property. What if they have a student home from college for the summer? That was the one thing that came to my mind. I'm good with what the majority of the council settles on, but I'm thinking a longer period.
Okay. Councilor Bassens?
Yeah, one other thought I had was if somebody comes and stays a week, as an example, but they're coming every 3 weeks. I don't know why they come at that cadence, but it could and probably will happen. That's less time than the 30 days, but yet they're outside of the parameters that we've set. Just kind of food for thought.
Yeah, there are some people that'll come over here, like say from Bend or something. They'll come here and stay with somebody for a short period of time for medical things, then go back home, then come again. We might have situations like that. Like I said, we could come up with that. I know it. I know.
50 different
I don't
things.
like limiting this at all. I really don't like having to limit somebody in their RV, but we don't want people living in them either. So,
Why?
In property, on other property.
Why?
It's an additional dwelling unit then.
And then you also have...
Because I think it upsets your neighbors.
Then you also could have the trailer that parks and doesn't maintain, and sewage ends up in our storm drains.
Or the neighbor's backyard.
Ooh. Anybody else?
I'm good with 30 on, 30 off.
I see a couple heads moving.
You could say something like 30 days is kind of the mandatory issuance, as long as it's not causing public nuisance, that kind of stuff, up to 60 days upon showing a good cause, and then that they would just make a good cause statement, hey, or up to 90 with good cause, or whatever the case may be. And you get that person who's home from college, they write a good cause, hey, my kid's home for 90 days. I don't know, I'm just trying to throw out some ideas.
Yes, ma'am.
One thing about the good cause statement is, just like some of the other things, it's discretionary. And I do not like a code that has any room for discretion in it. Because if I like the way you look today, maybe you get it. Maybe I don't like the way the next guy walks in, looks, and he doesn't get it.
Right.
Discretion is, you got to have something strong in writing to fall back on, in my opinion.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Mr. Mayor, I think one of the things to keep in mind is, I heard you talk about this just a couple of minutes ago, but keep in mind that there may be some bad actors that may abuse some things. So having specific regulations is helpful to ensure that doesn't occur. And maybe the questions, maybe on the next questions, that will answer some of this stuff. And I had a question, how many people are having kids who come home from college want to live in a trailer? How many times have we experienced that you know of, Kyle?
Never have.
So, I mean, so the point, I think the point I'm making is we could come up with 75 different scenarios that we might come up with, but what's the standard that you're looking for here? And always keep in mind, somebody's going to find that loophole. Mm-hmm. And then as Councilor Schenkel said, you know, then you're going to hear from the neighbors. So,
and that's when I hear about it.
And then Kyle has to go back out there. So
actually, you missed a step. Then I hear about it and I give them your email.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, just keep those thoughts in place.
It's pretty bad when all I have to do is type KM into my phone and it comes up with your email, Kyle. Yes, sir.
So I guess thinking about this a little bit more, I could see where a resident would potentially have somebody stay for a week more frequently. I can't think of a lot of times where somebody's really going to come and stay for 30 days. If we make that 30 days part of our permits, and then we shorten the time span to a week with a 2-week reset, something a little bit more manageable, I think we accommodate the same plan without making it so strict that people are frustrated with it, but I think that might help pare down some of this a little bit.
Sorry. Sure. I just had a light bulb when you said that. Maybe. You guys may think I'm nuts, but what if you made it 60 days per year in any increment? You come stay for 3 days, that tolls it, you're down to 57 now. Now someone can come out for 20. You know, now someone could come out for, you know what I mean? You made it some amount of time per year, per calendar year, and that's easy for us to track. Those permits go right in their address file, and we review their address file anytime we approve a permit. And that's fairly easy for us to do.
Is that going to be so cumbersome, though? You know, somebody pulling a little piece off the pie and us having staff hours to keep track of how much of the pie is left?
Honestly, no, because when they submit the first one, we're going to kind of have an idea of where they're parking them, where they're keeping them and stuff. They'll kind of, and then it's just rinse and repeat. And everything's online. It'll take them 2 minutes to fill out an application, hit submit. And with something like that, you know, we can look at their little hand-drawn plan or picture of their house saying, hey, here's my house. This is where it's going to be. Cool, you know, you're not blocking the fire truck. Great, you know, and that's pretty easy to manage if you guys were looking for like an ability to be more flexible and provide for maybe even extended timelines in certain cases, because they could come and get a permit for 60 straight days. They're just done for the calendar year at that point. You know, or any amount of time, or any, you know, I'm just throwing it out there that might be something to reconcile the concerns, maybe.
Officer Murphy, your input on that?
Yeah, I think since it's on paper, it would definitely be easier to track. It's, as Mr. Corthell said, in the address files, they've filled out the permit that chunks off X amount of days. I can look at how many permits they have before I even make my first trip out there. Are they allowed to be doing this? No, they have 3 permits. Each one has been for 20 days. So they're done. We go out there and it's happening.
Thank you. Because to me, we can sit up here all day and make policy. You're the one who has to go out and enforce it. And so your input means a lot. Because if we're making policy that it's something that it's going to be a nightmare, you know, everybody's input's really important in this. So
these are a nightmare to enforce anyway, no matter what you do.
Well, thanks for being brave enough to do it.
Yes.
Well, you'd be amazed at the things that people could do to make it look like their trailer is parked there and nobody's living in it.
Right.
I mean, they
you
fold
rely
in
on-
everything and unplug it every day and put the cord away. But you go by there at midnight and there's a light on inside, so.
And you rely on neighbors and things like that in those instances.
Yeah, I'm not sure we'd be amazed with some of the things we've seen.
I mean, it's hard because, you know, is that the kids in there watching a movie? Or is someone living in there, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So is the consensus, everybody likes what Mr. Cortell had to say?
You're over here.
I think I like that.
Now you can decide how many days.
How many
Yeah,
days?
how many
That's
days?
right. How many days?
Yeah.
Now, follow-up question to that, do you want to limit the number of consecutive days? You want to say, hey, you have 60 days in a calendar year, but you can only do 30 at a time. And then you got to reset for a week or 10 days or something like that. I mean, I don't know, whatever you guys think. Or do you want to allow to say, hey, you can do the full 60 straight through?
So what do you do in a case where grandma comes up from Arizona, which is where she lives, and stays for the summer, and then goes back, say she comes in June and goes back home in September or October, and she usually stays in a trailer? What would that be
She
under
would
a
not
different?
be allowed to stay in the trailer on the property for longer than 60 days. And under what we're saying.
And that's a realistic.
That's it. What I know it
That's
happens.
more realistic than
Not
my
in
college
Molalla,
student.
but you know, Clackamas County area. But that happens.
Kid wants their old room.
Huh?
Oh, I said the college kid wants their old room back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the alternative
Snowbirds.
is folks can't find they could honestly we could put a permit's required and you have to submit your case to the city council and they'll give you how many days they give you. I know it's right on, but I mean, that's another option. It really is.
But you put the fear of God in us when you said it leaves us open when it comes to policy.
I think if it certainly does. I mean, it's a very uncomfortable and there's no standard and it's going to feel unfair. I mean, right? Because some people, assuming you say no to anyone, they're going to be like, oh, wait, you said yes to all these people. Why no to me? You know, it's not fair. So that's why I always advocate for, you know, a specific policy, even if it's going to be more flexible. I'm just trying to throw all the options out there to help you guys brainstorm that I can think of, which isn't certainly all of them, but some.
The other thing you could look at for a decision is making a decision that you think is the most reasonable right now. And if you find over time that, yeah, this isn't working quite the way we thought, it's too hard for staff to manage, it's not enough time for folks to actually take advantage of it, or whatever it might be, you can always make an amendment.
Right.
So if you stick with the most reasonable decision without, because literally we could probably stay here till tomorrow morning and talk about the different things that people will come up with. You know, it's like.
But what if?
Well, I mean, some of us have been around for a long time and there's still things we go, I haven't seen that one before. So, you know.
So
60 days?
60 days, consecutive break.
Grandma can't stay the whole summer.
I guess not.
And we were looking a minute ago at doing a month on and a month off. That was 6 months in a whole year. So if we pared that down to a maximum of 60, we've really cut it down.
We really have, yeah.
But it still would not solve your grandma for the summer issue.
No, it wouldn't.
No.
The 30 on, 30 off.
90 days would.
90 days with
90 days in
Maybe grandma should stay in Arizona.
Yeah, that's, I mean, exactly.
Yeah.
So I threw a number out. That was a scientific wild guess.
That's probably appropriate.
What's your
Yeah, maybe.
Sir?
Just to play devil's advocate here, you know, in my mind, it makes a big difference if you're behind the house, on the side of the house, versus right out in somebody's driveway. I wouldn't personally love somebody living next to my home for 90 days in a driveway. Understand there's circumstances, you know, and there's a million reasons you would feel differently about it. However, I think a lot of people would be like, wow, having somebody live in the driveway for 90 days is a very, very long time. I don't know if we have the ability to look at those separately because property is property. I don't know, but I think there'd be a much different view with those two things considered.
I think there's a lot of people who think having somebody live in an RV next to their house for one day is a long time.
That's true. And the other caution I would give you is that it ends up creating a standard for people who can afford more property versus people who cannot. And so, I mean, just food for thought.
I think 60 days with a 30-day buffer in between.
Okay.
I'm just throwing that out to council.
It's a tough question.
Well, that kind of
really is.
defeats the, I mean,
We've already defeated grandma in the summer.
no, I understand that. But we were originally going to do 30 days on, 30 days off, 30 days on, 30 days off. And then we went to a longer period of time of 60 days. So if we're going to do 30 days on, 30 days off, shouldn't we just go back to the plan of the 6 months thing?
In that case, would they, if they stayed 7 days, would they then have to have a 30-day off? If anyone was staying there at all, then no permit for 30 days. Just making sure I'm tracking.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm out of ideas. There's 6 other people here. Consent to something.
Mayor?
Yes, sir, ma'am.
If I may.
Please.
Unless I'm looking at you guys, because I don't know the answer to this, I don't know that we're getting lots and lots of requests for long-term use of people's in their RVs.
Right.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think we've gotten 2 permits.
Okay, so if we're not getting a lot of requests for this, then I think it might be better, because I do think that the longer term will create some complaints from the neighbors. I really believe that will happen. So if you keep it shorter, the 30-day on, 30-day off, and if you only need it for 7 days, well, that's within that first 30 days, and then you have to be off for 30. That's probably your best bet to start with. That's my suggestion, because the longer you get, you're going to get Councilor Basinius calling on his neighbor, why are they here? And I don't mean to make fun of that, but that is actually what will happen.
We could also do some more public engagement around this question. If you guys are interested, want us to go out and try and get feedback from the community. We have survey tools, we have a newsletter, we're reaching the public better than we've ever reached them before. We could go and collect some more information from the constituency and see what they think, if that would be helpful to the decision-making process in any way.
Good idea. I like it and I don't.
I know.
You're going to get 150 people that respond with 150 different responses to it.
If you write your questions correctly. Yes, no.
That's true.
Well, I like that idea because, and I like getting public engagement when we're making a decision on something that could affect so many people in our general public anyway. And so I think that's a very good idea, and I would be in favor of that.
Me too.
Do a poll.
Yes, sir. You got it. I mean, this is just a tough decision, because it becomes a matter of.
So is the next question, what do you want to ask? What do you want us to ask?
Next one, no. I'll work through something.
Okay.
And
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. So, and then I'm taking, well, I'm kind of, sorry, stolen your thunder a little bit here, but the last kind of issue we had was part of this was what you guys brought up as far as in association with the building permit. Hey, I'm building a house. I'm doing a significant addition that precludes me from living in the house. Shouldn't I be able to just live on an RV while I'm building that? Does that make sense? So we put some language in there, just proposal language to get the conversation started. It basically is that permits for that kind of thing could be initially issued for up to 6 months, with one 6-month extension provided they're associated with an active city law building permit. So that was one provision that we thought of for that. And you get the one thing we were kind of concerned about and why we wrote it 6 months with a 6-month extension is because if you give it to someone for 6 months and they make zero progress or is not actually working on it, then there might be an opportunity to say, hey, we'll give you another 30 days of this 6 months, but if we're not seeing you work on the house, you're just living on a vacant lot. So, it kind of keeps them moving along, and then obviously, we're not going to come back and say, hey, I had a long lead time on this, specialty part, which we completely understand, and we're going to be like, oh, well, sorry, you didn't do anything. I mean, we're very reasonable. We're not trying to ruffle feathers. I can promise you that. So that's food for thought. See what you guys thought about that one.
I'm good with that.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
I only have one provision I would be interested in. And actually, I'm going to start off with a question, Councilor Schenkel. You and your brother's business, if they're going to be living on the property, is there a way that we could include proof that his or Bennett, one of the services, is going out and servicing the trailer,
the RV,
to make sure the RV, so that we're making sure it's not going into our storm? Because that's probably one of my biggest fears, is somebody giving that long of a term and somebody's digging a hole under the trailer, whatever. But if there's receipts or some sort of notification that yes, Clink Scales or Bennett is going out regularly, emptying it, keeping it maintained, that way we don't have to worry about. And I know the other scenario comes under, well, they could just hook it up and take it over to Friar Park and empty it because they have the dump station there. But I think there would need to be something proving that their septic is being taken care of, besides Kyle sticking his nose in there, something paperwork-wise.
So I can kind of speak to this in the mobile food unit context, which, by the way, we're kind of working through ironing that out. Again, new associate planner, a little more capacity. One of the things you have to do is provide a sewage disposal plan, wastewater disposal plan. And while they do accept the plan is, hey, I'm going to take it to Fire Park and dump it, or hey, here's my contract with Clink Scales, or whatever case may be. It's pretty well accepted as long as it's feasible, but it makes them put something on paper that, hey, we're going to do this, and Kyle can kind of check up on those from time to time, make sure he's not seeing anything weird, and if he does, obviously we can revoke the permit immediately and take code enforcement action. So if we just have them provide a plan, they'll at least know, hey, we're going to keep an eye on this, and you better do this thing.
Perfect.
So does that work?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we can include that in the administrative part of the process as part of the permit.
Perfect.
And from our respect, we actually have done that quite a bit. We'll have to write just a short little notice to the county or whatever, that if they have a holding tank, that yes, we have agreed to pump such and such a tank at such and such an address as needed, and sign our name, and then they take that to wherever they're getting their permits. So
Perfect.
It's a very common practice.
Good.
Okay, last one that we've got is this did come in via public comment, and actually it wasn't a public comment delivered by an email or in person here. There was former Councilor Newland came in with, it would appear to be a friend of hers who brought this situation to our attention. She's experiencing it. And I said, okay, that makes sense. I'll take your public comment forward to the council. So we threw some language in here for you guys to consider based on her public comment. And that was, Permits may be initially issued for up to 1 year to house a caregiver for medical necessity on the private property where their patient is housed. The city may require a physician's note regarding the medical necessity of a caregiver at any time during the permit application process or while the permit is valid. So, it would be kind of like, hey, a doctor's note, this person requires, they don't have to tell us anything HIPAA, just, hey, they need a caregiver. I'm a physician, and I'm telling you they need a caregiver on site with them. And so that was something that we also wanted to kind of bring to your attention, that is something that folks are, some folks are experiencing, at least one I know of.
The only thing I can think of is what Councilor Besenius brought up, is the thought of somebody living in a trailer right next to my bedroom window next door to me for a year. I see the point. I see both sides of it. That's hard.
Is there a difference between that trailer being there or the one that's parked there because they're building a house?
And chances are, if your neighbor is sick, that they know that they need the caregiver. Well, I guess not everybody knows their neighbors, but a lot of time you may be well aware of that situation, so you are less likely to complain about it.
I think I'd be willing to go with this as long as there would be some sort of notification process to the neighbor. The closest house to that trailer, I think that house should be notified that this situation has arisen or has come up, and they're going to be applying to the city manager for this permit, for this to happen. And if they have a dispute or whatever, here's the city manager's email, here's the city council, you get 3 minutes if you want to come into the council. I think that would be the fairest thing to do, so somebody does not get blindsided.
But I think a lot of times sharing information, people take, if they're caught off guard, they might be ticked. If they get a notice, a lot of times, same situation, they're not. Because they're like, I was looped in. I think that might be helpful.
I was just going to interject that the knowledge that the notice is going to be going out could initiate some conversation between the neighbors and get that conversation going. And
are we allowed to notify neighbors of others' medical issues?
No.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that part.
Yeah.
We won't be noticing them the medical issue.
We wouldn't be saying what the issue is, but there could be somebody staying there because of medical issues. Is that?
Or they may be permitted to stay there,
we'll figure out the appropriate and legal language to provide on a notice if that's what you guys want to see.
Councilor Besenius.
In a medical situation like this, 1 year may not be enough. Is there going to be exceptions? Can they apply for an extension based on ongoing medical need? Because that could be a very real thing, specifically to that application.
So actually, that was the next thing I was going to talk about is that it's for 1 year, and see what you guys thought. So that's perfect. You stole my thunder. But we were also, when Kyle and I were discussing this, we're thinking that if someone's do you guys want to have a situation where that's allowed as long as the medical necessity continues? You'd be 10 years. Or do you want to say, hey, you had a year to make other arrangements, or 2 years, or 3, or whatever you guys' time limit is? So that's just the thinking that we put into it as we were going through.
City Manager Huff, you're going to be the one writing these. What is your thoughts?
He said, I'm retired.
I was going to suggest the city manager or designee.
Yes.
I think I would leave it for a year. They can always reapply. I think if you're, if they need a caregiver, I mean, I don't know how you predict how long they need it. But I think they could reapply. Instead of going through the extensions can be provided if, and then list all this stuff, they can always just reapply.
Yeah, if you don't have language in there that says you're not allowed to have this more than X amount of times, then.
Right.
Right.
And to clarify, it's probably me signing it.
Not really approving it.
So we need
You're
to
just signing.
change that to sign permission.
Am I?
It's
Yeah.
true. It'll be under review likely by the Community Development Department.
Yeah.
Councilor Bassett?
Is there anything that comes into play, with the condition of the vehicle, the condition the inhabitants are with upkeep? I mean, I could see that getting way out of control for a long-term situation, especially. I don't know if that can be handled by something else or if that has to be addressed in this.
I think nuisance code would likely cover it. I mean, they have to keep their property the same as other nuisance code would require. No garbage, no smell, no things like that. I think if those began to arise, you could just address it as a nuisance issue.
Perfect.
Sir?
Is this the first scenario that you have experienced with regards to this kind of request, or have you experienced it before?
It's about the third time I've heard something similar to this, because we do have a fairly disproportionate amount of elderly folks in Molalla. So actually, this is the third time I've heard someone say it. And prior to this, I was just had to say, hey, I mean, our code doesn't really allow it for more than I can give you a 30-day permit. I can't do much more than that. And it just so happened that it was kind of perfect timing when she came in and said, hey, the council's actually looking at stuff right now. This is really good timing. I'll make sure they hear about it at least and bring it forward. So yeah, not a ton. Obviously, 3 times in 5 years isn't a lot, but I have heard of it.
So we had a consensus on that? Application that can reapply?
So one thing that I will say that the nuisance code would not deal with is the state of the vehicle. If it's RV or an RV trailer, does it matter? So for instance, in our mobile food unit code and in most mobile food unit codes, it says that the unit has to be kept in the state of good repair without peeling paint and broken windows. And you know what I mean? It basically says, hey, you got to have a decent looking food truck if you're gonna sell your wares.
I think it needs to be some sort of RV that was professionally built to be housing quarters. It's not somebody that gets their cube trailer and sprays insulation in and just throws a bed in it. It needs, if somebody's actually living in it, it needs to have living space. It's a cube trailer.
That's right.
And then, last question, sorry, mobility. One thing that's really an easy way to kind of cool the herd on basically a mini junkyard versus trailer parking is to say that it must remain mobile and drivable or pullable at all times. That way you're not going to get the thing with the wheels falling off and that sort of thing. It's like, hey, you got to be able to fire this thing up and move. Especially if there's a fire or something like that. I mean, that's also really important.
And I think registered.
Yeah.
Needs to keep its registration.
Now, sorry, I said that was the last question and I lied. Does that apply to all of them? Or just the medical necessity, or the medical necessity and the building permit? Or building permit, you know what I mean?
I would say all the above.
All of them.
And it's a safety concern for it if there was a fire.
And then finally, the notice requirement, do we think that should be included with the building permit situation?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
It could be an extended period of time.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
And I think that the physician's note or authorizations the city will require instead of may require. I think it should be required as part of the application under the caregiver scenario.
One point I want to go back to, just because I didn't see a consensus on the vehicle needs to be manufactured as something to live in, or an RV. I didn't see everybody's reaction on a consensus, so is everybody okay with that?
The reason I was laughing about that is, my parents have a trailer park. And even though they are built to live in, that doesn't mean they look good. Or, so. Right. Yeah, that's fine with me. But you can get some pretty trashy looking things with.
Right. Well, that's going to be something Kyle's going to be looking for. But I've seen some people motoring through, and it's a cube trailer that they've spray insulation in, and they put a cot in it, and I didn't want to see that become something that somebody lives in that doesn't have any plumbing or anything in it to handle the situations. So everybody's in consensus with that. I didn't want anybody to be walked over on decision. Okay.
So we'll be reaching back out for public engagement on the duration of that kind of just, hey, my buddy's coming over permit, and advice the other two situations we talked about, and then coming back with a little more information, and then we'll also, right when we come back with that information, we'll bring you a draft of these provisions that we kind of do know about, so we can take a look at those at the same time, figure out that last bit of this thing, and then come back to you with the final draft after that. So I think maybe probably two more meetings.
Perfect. Anything else, sir?
No, sir. Thank you.
You good, Kyle?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Good conversation. No motions needed, Christy?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, up next, City Council Library Liaison. This is going to be council-led by me. I'd like to make a motion. We had Councilor Bartholomew has stepped down as a liaison on the library. Councilor Gilmer has offered to take on the role. Since he kind of has a liaison role, but it's not very active. So I'd like to make a motion that Councilor Gilmer take over as the library liaison for the city of Molalla.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Is there any questions or discussion? Christy, will you call the roll?
Certainly. Councilor Gilmer.
Aye.
Councilor Schenkel.
Aye.
Councilor Childress.
Aye.
Council President Vermillion.
Aye.
Councilor Bartholomew.
Aye.
Councilor Bassinius.
Aye.
Mayor Kaiser.
Aye.
Thank you. Vote passes 7-0.
Thank you. Up next, Beautification and Culture CPC funding request. Mr. Huff, can I have your staff report?
Thank you. This item is located on page 10 of your packet, and there's two members of that committee that are here tonight, so they can jump in as soon as I'm done. But last year, we started lighting the trees downtown that you all will remember. Pretty cool. What we've found is that the trees are obviously still growing and things like that. They grow amazingly. But so the individual, the contractor who put the lights up has actually come up with a new way to deal with it, willing to come in, put the lights on, pull them off at the end of the season. I think it's January or February, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
The problem with that is that, or it's not really a problem, there's an opportunity, I should call it that. The cost of doing it that way is $1,895 annually to do that. He's offered to keep that price for the next 3 years. you have available funding that's left over from a former project in the Native American Art Walk, and that project's over.
I misunderstood. I thought when we were talking that the 1895 was for a 3-year period, not per year? Okay.
No.
I was on the phone.
In the meeting.
In the meeting,
So,
yeah.
so what this means is that if you say yes right now, we can have him take care of the because we have some strands that need to be replaced that the trees have grown through. And you have enough funding that is not earmarked for anything right now, and that leaves you a little bit of a balance. You can also look at your council fund. I don't know that you want to use your special council fund for this, but what this does is it would allow us to plan for it in next year's budget. It's not going to affect this year's budget necessarily because we have some unused funding that we're kind of hanging on to. Next year, when you adopt your budget, you will have this in the budget to pay for. And I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
I think that pretty much covers it. It's been it was a very popular addition to the city. We got lots of positive feedback on it, and we really want to continue it, but we cannot afford to continue it annually, continue lights on the trees year-round, because that would be very expensive. It takes certain other very expensive kind of lights, etc. So we thought it's such a safety factor at Halloween, so we want to put them up mid-October and take them through Christmas and the New Year and take them down mid-January. And that's where the $18.95 a year would come in, and we would at least have it through most of the darkest period of the winter. And with the extra there in the Art Walk Fund, and I appreciate so much the detail that the city keeps for us, because it's easy to see what we have, and there won't be any upkeep to the Art Walk Fund that would require those funds, that money. So if we want to continue the tree lights, that is our most economical way to do it.
Question on the Art Walk money. Is I take it that money's not specifically earmarked for that, so
No.
we won't be in any sort of violation moving it?
No, it's available.
And you're thinking within 3 years that or by the time the Art Walk money runs out, we will be able to put this on as a line item in the budget?
Well, I think you'll want to put it in as a line item in the 26-27 fiscal year, which is next year. I mean, we would move the remaining balance of the Art Walk money into the tree light money, and then we'll have to add a little bit to it. And then at the end of the 3-year period, my guess is that we'll have to negotiate a new price for this. It won't stay the same. Just kind of generally what we assume. So.
And just for thinking forward, the $18.95 is strictly for installation and takedown, set up and take down, if you will, of the lights themselves. And we will want to cushion that $1,895 up to, I don't know, $2,200 to have a little bit of funding in there in case of damage to lights, because that would, of course, fall on us and not on the installation company.
Now, some of those maple trees down on that side of over there really have expanded. I was just shocked how big they are. In fact, a couple of them are growing into the grates. I don't know how we're going to handle that. Cut them down?
You can make the hole in the grate bigger.
Okay, because they literally are growing into the grate. Yeah, so little buggers grew fast.
All right. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the monies from the Native American Art Walk Fund to be used for the downtown tree lighting project.
I second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? Christie, we call the roll?
Certainly. Counselor Gilmer.
Aye.
Counselor Schenkel.
Aye.
Counselor Childress.
Aye.
Council President Vermillion.
Aye.
Counselor Bartholomew.
Aye.
Counselor Bicinius.
Aye.
Mayor Kaiser.
Aye.
Thank you. Vote passes 7-0.
Actually, I did think of one question, Ms. Truff. Will we be bringing back revision to budget for this?
I don't think this one requires it, because the funding's already identified.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Up next, staff communication. Got anything for us tonight, Christie?
Mayor, thank you. I do. I had a phone call today from Russ Mabry's sister, and I find out that Russ had a birthday yesterday. So I'd like to wish a very happy birthday to Russ. Russ has been working with the City of Molalla as our videographer for over 30 years. And I'm not really adding it up because it doesn't look a day over 50. So I'm not sure where those birthdays came in. But just a very happy birthday to Russ, and thanks for what you do for City of Molalla.
Yay, happy
Thank you,
birthday.
Russ.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
All right. Mr. Corthell?
Thank you, Mayor. So, you guys were at the Chief Yelkus Park grand opening today, some of you, and it was pretty awesome watching those kids play out there. They were absolutely thrilled. They all kind of war cried as they ran into the thing. It was hilarious. So phase 2 of that is coming up next. We're going to start the planning process for that, and we'll give you some more timelines and stuff. For those of you who don't know, phase 2 is adding the raised wetland path kind of through that wetland area, and then tying it in hopefully over to through the public works yard and hopefully to the elementary school, where they can kind of take field trips and bring the kids over, and there's a big educational element to that, and make it very safe for them to walk and all that sort of stuff, as well as trying to connect you to Tolliver there. So that's that, as well as getting the Molalla Forest Road opened up through there. That will not be full construction to start with. That project has been rough estimated at over $3 million because of the need for retaining walls and that sort of thing. So we're going to look to open up the road at the, obviously clean it up, make it look nice, get it open, and provide the pedestrian amenities via the raised path so that people can access it from both directions, vehicle, pedestrian, and bicycle. So we'll get going on that next. Can't rest on our laurels for too long. Mr. Kelly, our water quality superintendent, and I appeared in front of the Infrastructure Finance Authority last week, and we were able to procure $4.65 million for the water intake project. That is debt. So just to be clear, luckily our water fund, and it's very common. Most have lots. We have very little. Actually, none. It's a great deal, and we can push forward with the project now. We're fully funded. We are still waiting for $2 million in grant funds to potentially make its way out of committee at the federal level and into the Fed's hands to not vote on, but just joking. At any rate, it is moving out of committee, hopefully. We haven't heard yet, but that is still on the table, so we're hoping to be able to offset that financing with that $2 million and be able to give $2 million back to the IFA and not pay interest on it and all that good stuff, let them loan it out to someone else. So that's moving along, and we hope to get good news on the additional funding, especially the money that's, we don't have to reimburse. I won't call it free because it's not, but we procured a Goal 14 grant. For those of you who don't remember, Goal 14 is that kind of analysis and discussion about the practicability or lack thereof of serving certain areas that were named in the UGB as the primary locations to move our UGB boundary to. So we did get a grant for that work. We're just waiting to finalize those documents and bring an IGA to you guys with the LCD to, oh, I'm sorry, that one's not the IGA. Bring the agreement to you guys and push forward with the engineered studies on that work. And hopefully when that pencils out, folks will be of a similar mindset to what we have all been, which is that it makes a lot more sense in every sense of the word to be going north. So that would be grant funded. We'll be kicking that off here in a couple of weeks after we get those documents. We were also awarded our third Housing Production Strategies grant. And so that work too will be kicking off as soon as that one will require an intergovernmental agreement, because the invoices go directly to the LCD. We don't have to manage the funds, which is great. And so, yeah, we'll be kicking that off soon, and you guys will see an IGA on that, hopefully on the 22nd. I let them know if we don't get it by the 15th that they're going to have to wait till November. So they're aware, and hopefully they're getting it out. The aquifer storage and recharge reuse feasibility study, we got 2 grants for that. Fully grant funded, and it'll be a feasibility study to identify secondary sources for groundwater for potential use as an ASR. For those of you who don't know what an ASR is, basically we take water when we've got tons of flows, because we have a lot more water rights than we use, actually like 4 times as many as we use currently. And so we can pump more water out, and during the high river flows, during the winter basically, we can pump that into the ground, and then we can pull out 90% of that as needed during the summer. So it just creates some redundancy in our water system, and so this is the first step to look at feasibility. Where can we put it? What's it going to cost? That sort of thing. So that work will kick off on a feasibility study here. We're starting the kickoff meeting, I think, is set for that for like October 20-something. All right, paving and crack sealing has all but wrapped up. We were hoping to be wrapped up by now, but we got like our first and only rain in the last 2 months, right when we were scheduled. I want to thank you guys. I know you get calls, and the public for bearing with us. We can't obviously predict the weather. You guys know that. I'm not trying to be coy, but it does stop those things from going. And then people are like, well, when's it going to happen? And it's like when it's nice again and we can get them scheduled. And that's really the only answer I've got, unfortunately, because that's the lay of the land as we get towards this October-November timeframe in the construction world. It just is when we can, and we'll get it done. And we'll make sure we get notice out as quickly as we can when we figure out when that is. You guys have probably been noticing some PGE pole replacements going on around town. You'll also notice that some of the sidewalk panels have been torn out and filled with coal patch. Yes. That is not permanent. They're going to finish that project. They're supposed to be filling them with coal patch and leveling them. A couple of them aren't very level. Sam's already on that. He's been working with PGE. Because even a temporary patch needs to be level so people can roll over it in a wheelchair or walker or whatnot. And so we'll get them back out there to level that stuff out, clean it up a bit. But those panels will be replaced with legitimate concrete panels. It's just they're going to do them all at once at the end of the project, which makes a ton of sense. So if you're noticing that, that's what that is if folks are talking to you about it. And we are currently looking for a planning commissioner. So if you know someone that's interested in that work, who likes development, wants to learn more about what the city's doing, and talk about the long-range planning activities, send them Christie's way, and they'll get a. I guess they go to the Planning Commission first for recommendation. So that position is open. We advertise that, and that's about all I've got. Other than you will get the full community development report at the meeting on the 22nd, and now that's really all I have.
So thank you, sir.
Been busy.
Mr. Huff.
Just a couple of things. The Chief Yelkus Park grand opening was kind of fun. Thank you, Councilor Vermillion, for bringing all those kids. It made it even more fun. So watching them. The only other thing I was going to bring up today was we are preparing to send out an RFP for the library design It's in your budget that you put in there, and so this is just the design. It's not hiring a contractor or anything. So we can create about a 30% plan of what we're going to build, so we know how much it's going to cost, if we can build it, and how we can build it, and all those things. So that's going out soon. And then Councilor Gilmore will have a reason to go to a library meeting. So. And then I'll leave the LOC report up to you.
Oh, no, they can have it. Anything else, sir?
Nope.
All right. I'm going to go backwards tonight. Councilor Childers, I'll let you start.
Wake me up here. Well, I too attended the Chief Yelkus Park opening today, and it was one of the more exciting grand openings that we've had. Councilor Vermillion confirmed that he brought 48 students out there. These are third grade students. And after the students went back to school, there were still about 15 kids playing that had come from the surrounding neighborhood, and the architect had his family out there, you know, so it was really interesting, and those kids were having a blast on the playground that was built that was so natural. It was kind of like going, you know, out to the woods and climbing on the fallen trees and things. It was really fun to watch the kids do that. And I want to thank the council for supporting the lighting project. That's something that, like I said, is really popular in the city, and I love to still be able to provide at least a portion of what we could do on that. And that is all I had.
Perfect. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Councilor Schenkel.
I don't have anything.
All right. Councilor Gilmer.
I don't have anything at this point. I will when I get to talk to the library, though.
All right. Councilor Bartholomew.
I don't have anything, Mayor Kaiser.
All right. Councilor Vicenius.
I do have some stuff.
All right.
I was fortunate enough to be able to attend the 100th Annual League of Oregon Cities Conference with Mayor Kaiser and Council President Vermillion last week. It was a wonderful experience to meet some of the fellow councilors, learn from their experience, as well as the mayor's wonderful networking opportunities to learn more about how to be more effective in the role. So I appreciate that. There was a wonderful keynote speaker that talked about generations and how we're serving all the generations as well as future generations, and ways to try to understand those generations better. That really resonated with me being a new counselor. So I've definitely found a lot of value in the opportunities that presented, and look forward to participating more.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Council President Vermillion.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, today, Chief Yelkus Park, that was a lot of fun. It was something that I'd looked at when we had the grand opening, thinking, oh man, it's going to be opening up when it's summertime. And then I saw the delays happening. I thought, hey, this could happen. So yeah, I'm teaching third grade this year, and one of my coworkers, the other third grade teacher, was interested in accompanying us, so we made it work. Thanks to Dan. He helped with some of the logistics of making sure that we could get there on time. We did have a schedule change. We were originally going to be meeting at 3 o'clock for the grand opening, but thank you, Dan, for changing that. The kids really enjoyed it. Thanks to Officer Hillhouse for being out there and greeting the kids. The kids love him. He's there oftentimes at least once a week greeting the kids coming off the bus. So it was a great time. League of Oregon Cities. You know, this was a conference where I felt like I gave away more than I could bring away. We had questions with regards to community engagement in our medium-sized committee meeting. Mayor Kaiser did a wonderful job of representing the city with regards to the current and how it operated. We had a flood of people after that wanting to know more. So, and then constantly getting asked about what is happening in Molalla, all the building that's going on. I'm talking at the municipal level, you know, the police department, water treatment, water intake, all of that good stuff. Word is getting out that Molalla is happening and people want to know what we're doing. So I spent a lot of time explaining what we're doing. So it was great with that regard, just bragging about Molalla. So thank you for all that you guys do, you know, council, staff, really appreciate all the effort that you put in. So that's all I got.
All right, thank you, sir. Well, first off, staff, thank you. Great agenda, great meeting tonight. Council, great conversation. Really appreciate it. As my other colleagues brought up, we were at the League of Oregon Cities last week and had a really good time with, it was a mayor, city manager class. I guess, voluntold our city manager that he'd be joining me up front. And I guess we'd call it more of a speaker game show role that we won. City Manager Huff really enjoyed beating one of his colleagues from Pendleton. I think his first name was Rob.
Rob Corbett.
Yeah. Rob decided to start keeping score, and a few times we were ahead, and then for some reason we would be in a tie. I couldn't quite figure that out, but in the end we won. And I think it came down to, which I totally forgot tonight, no thanks to a headache, the bag of peanuts. I usually bring the city manager.
Yes, I think it was.
On council meetings. He was quite impressed that I usually bring the city manager a bag of peanuts because, believe it or not, he does get hangry if he doesn't eat before our meetings.
So what he's forgetting to tell you is that they had 4 cities up front. They called us couples. And they played it was called the Newlywed Game. They actually played the music of that old game. And we had these dry erase boards where we got to write our answers on. That part was funny, but some of the questions were real. But the discussion in the audience was pretty intense for most of it. So
yeah, but it was a very good time. I did take an AI class that basically 7 companies pitched what products they have to mayors and city council members that can better the city. And it broke down into 3 segments, and one of the first segments was talking about cities inventorying what AI is being used. And it's not just, as we all know, there's programs out there that are AI based. There's also programs out there that we all use in our daily lives that have AI in them automatically. And getting that inventory in control now before AI gets much bigger. But there were some neat things from Oregon City has a camera system on one of their pickup trucks, or a few of them, that actually drives through town, and it's constantly taking pictures of road conditions, so potholes, and it grades it and puts it into a computer system for their maintenance department to see, and they can address the road issues in their city without having to just send crews out looking for it. It's just a truck that drives through town automatically on routes. And then some of the equipment, some of the new technology and equipment that's out there that cities can bring. So I had a good time bringing Mr. Corthell a nice stack of paperwork of all the new toys, tricks, and tools that can be used at the city level. Let's see. On not necessarily a good note, not necessarily a bad note, there's a lot of bad politics going on out in the world. Don't let it affect you. I know a lot of people think that it's affecting my life, and it's not. It's actually, I enjoy politics. But a lot of what people have seen hasn't been necessarily the mayor's role. It's been me, Scott, when I'm off work role. There's going to be some things coming to town, signature petitions people can sign. That's me as Scott Kaiser. Yes, I do have the mayor title 24/7 all year long for the next 3 years, but I also have a personal life. I have personal opinions, and some of them I do back and believe in. So just wanted to give that heads up. And on a good note, and I always love a good note, and I hope council would join me, would like to wish our city manager a happy birthday tomorrow.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Dave.
Happy birthday, Mr. Huff.
Birthday.
You thought you were going to get away with it, didn't you?
I did. 37.
We would have lost that round in the newlywed. So, happy birthday, sir.
Thank you.
Gonna go enjoy it with the family this weekend?
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. Well, without further ado, if there isn't anything else for the good of the order, I will adjourn this meeting at 8:38.
Okay.
Me too.